It is my great pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Hadass Sheffer, who will give us a national perspective on how to increase adult college completion and how the Graduate Network is playing a role. She is the founding president of the Graduate Network and the co-founder and first executive director of Graduate Philadelphia, which is the program that launched the national network. The Graduate Network works with states, communities, and campuses to better align systems so that every adult has the resources and connections to earn their post-secondary credentials and realize their career and personal goals. Under Dr. Sheffer's leadership, the Graduate Network is building regional and state capacity across the country to get more adults to finish college. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Sheffer to the stage.
Good morning. It is a pleasure to be in Louisville. I count Louisville as my home away from home because of all the great work that is being done here. Some of our staff are based in Louisville, and I see a lot of friends in the audience. I'm really honored by the turnout here. I was looking at the attendee list, and you have brought here together, Lee, some of the most powerful voices across the country that are working to advance the cause of adult learners who want to go back and finish. I have a clicker here somewhere. Apologies. Is this? Yeah. Ah, okay, that's me. And that's our map. This is where the Graduate Network works. So what we do with the Graduate Network is we have developed several approaches to increase graduation levels. You can hear more later in some of our sessions, but overall we have found that early interventions with adults from the point where they are expressing an interest to go back to college all the way through graduation, if you can surround them with supports, not just with the college supports, but with other community-based supports, we can increase the completion rate of this population of people who started college but did not finish from 0, because these are people who are not going to go back to college, to over 80%. We have shared our information with communities in 41 locations across the United States, including several states. You can see our map. You can see that Louisville is on the map. In Louisville, we joined forces with 55,000 Degrees probably 8 or 9 years ago. We learned a lot from you, and we hope that you learned from us as well. So, what have we learned over the years? Wrong way. We learned that calling people dropouts is a game stopper. And so we looked for a reframing. We wanted to reframe this population as an asset rather than a deficit. And so we coined the name Comebacker back in, I think, 2004 and 2005. And I think in many of the places where we operate, there are other names. Reconnector is a name that's used in Tennessee, and it also carries this meaning of lifting up, reconnecting, moving forward. According to the National Student Clearinghouse Some College No Degree report, which was released late last year, there are 3.8 million some college no degree students who are within striking distance of getting their degree, of completing. Of those 3.8 million who re-enrolled since 2013, 25% graduated, and 29% were still enrolled as of December 2018 when the report came out, for a combined success and progress rate of 54% among re-enrollees. Now, this includes everyone who re-enrolled, people who re-enrolled with support from their employer and people who re-enrolled by themselves, people who were able to find scholarship money and people who did it by themselves. Across the 14 communities that we surveyed that had longitudinal data, we found that in a 5-year window, slightly more than 27% actually graduated. But what we found was that 66% were still persisting. And we define persistence in 2 ways. We look at it from the perspective of the National Student Clearinghouse, which I think is the methodology that many of you use, and you can hear more about it from Tanya Garcia, I think, later on today or tomorrow. But we also look at persistence over a longer period of time. We know that when adults go back, it can take them years to graduate. So we started looking at their history to see what we could learn that would predict their future behavior from their history. And I don't have the slide for that. You'll have to come to my session later, or we'll hand out the information. But what we found was that when we looked 20 years back, in addition to the 5 years of data that we collected, we found very specific patterns of persistence. We found that about 60% of people, 60 to 70% of people persisted in the way that you would expect them to once they get back to your institutions. You re-enrolled them, you served them well, and they graduated. We also found about 14% of students who graduated the moment they were back on campus, the moment they connected to your university. We're still a little bit puzzled about that. We think that there was some administrative hurdle that they cleared. That is a huge opportunity for your institutions to look at what people have accomplished. And if you can bring back all their credits, if you can help them clear some administrative hurdles, they might have some back balance. I know some places have been trying to clear these back balances away from students. These are not large sums. On average, they're between $500 and $800, but they're keeping people from being able to access their degrees. And then we found another 20-some percent, you can do the math, who had a pattern of enrolling, stopping out, enrolling, stopping out. For some of your institutions, their pattern would have made them stop outs, and maybe you can't see them anymore. But they are persisting at their own pace because they have to work, because things happen, because they have children. And the patterns of these persistence are remarkably stable over time for people. People will take between a semester and a year of college, and it's mostly not full-time because they can't do it, they can't afford it. And then they'll stop out from anywhere between 6 to 18 months, which if you're tracking them, you may be losing sight of them. So our biggest conclusion from my work over 15 years, is that adults need more preparation, more support, and more time. Adults are twice as likely to re-enroll if they have a goal, if they have a very specific goal in mind. And they need support. We found that people who spoke with an advisor or a navigator, this is before they even connect with your colleges, someone in the community who supported them, they were more likely to enroll. Now, we looked at the number of these quality, we call them high quality conversations. These are not check-ins by phone, they're not a text that just goes out. This is an actual conversation. It can be by phone, it can be a text exchange, it can be in person. We found that when people had between 3 and 10 interactions with someone who was supporting them, it more than doubled the rate of their going back. When those interactions were at about 14, it quadrupled the likelihood of that person going back and being successful. And it takes time. The adults who graduated through our services spent close to 8 months preparing for re-enrollment. And that includes time that they had to spend getting transcripts, paying off back debt, navigating systems, but also learning about themselves, what they really wanted to do once they were back. 16% spent more than a year, perhaps as much due to the twice annual semester start dates. If some people want to go to an institution that only has 2 major start dates and they miss one, they will have to wait. We identified 8 factors that really predict completion. The first factor is age upon returning to college. I know that a lot of people will find this very interesting, but the most predictive age was 46 years old. As our researcher said, people are figuring they're running out of time. The economy is moving ahead. They're not going to be retiring anytime soon. They're not going to be retiring at 65. There's still time to retool. Family annual income. Adults don't really know how to go about accessing financial aid. They don't think financial aid is there for them. I want to highlight the efforts in Tennessee with the Tennessee, it started as the Tennessee Reconnect, now it's the Tennessee Navigate Reconnect initiative that has helped thousands, I think tens of thousands of people go back free to complete their degree. And you'll hear more from Mike Krause later about how this is paying off. But we have to consider what we're doing when we're asking someone who's living below the poverty level to go back to school on their own dime because it will change their lives. They know it's going to change their lives. What can we do to relieve the financial burden? We want them back. Education level at intake. So some of the comebackers that engage with our graduate programs already have 2-year degrees, but they want to go back for more. And I think it's telling that after a 2-year degree, people are still asking for more support and enrolling in a 4-year completion program. And so we need to be there for them. Defaulted student loans. I think that's the big elephant in the room that we all see. We don't quite know what to do about it. So I'm here to suggest that counseling people with defaulted loans, looking carefully at how they can move out of default status is a winning strategy, but also don't discount the people who do have defaulted loans. They too are going back. They may be changing institutions. They may be relinquishing all the credits, but they are graduating. Referral source, who they heard about your college or about the importance of going back to school is important. People are hearing, they're talking about it in churches, they're talking about it in neighborhoods, friends are helping friends, families are helping family members, and colleges are doing outreach. If that outreach is done with a sort of an expansive mindset, in situations like college fairs, where colleges will refer comebackers to other colleges because they know truthfully this person is not going to come back to my college, but there's a college down the street that will open their arms to them, that is a winning strategy. We tried that in Philadelphia 14 years ago. We paired colleges up. We said at a fair, if someone doesn't seem like they'd be a good fit for you, here's another college that's about 10 miles away and across the river. You're not sharing students because that river is a huge boundary in Philadelphia. Refer them to that other college and see what happens. And enrollments went up for both. And adults said, you know, that college didn't work for me, but it might work for my friend down the street. So having a broader understanding of who the colleges are in your catchment area and not being afraid to refer people to them if that's going to be the better outcome for them is going to pay back in benefits for you as well. Readiness and eagerness to start. We know that readiness is not the same as eagerness to start. A lot of people are eager to start, but they're not always ready. Sometimes they need academic supports. But adults and everyone in this world now is ready to go immediately, right? You wake up at 2 in the morning with a panic attack. I need to go back to college. You need to have someplace on the internet where you can click. And that's where for-profit institutions are excelling. Not all of them are doing such a great job at graduating people or retaining them, but they're excelling. So we have been trying to find ways to make response rates faster, and also to acknowledge the fact that adult students are not waiting. When they want to move, they'll move. The top reasons for returning. Personal satisfaction is still about 50% of people who are returning through the graduate network say that they're doing it for personal satisfaction. We think it's great, but it could be masking other reasons. We work with employers, so sometimes there's an interaction there. But people are also looking to make a career change. About 60% of people said that they were going back to college because they were looking to make a career change. Required by employer for promotion were still very strong reasons for returning, but they were a lower predictor of completion. And then employer tuition benefits. Many of our comebackers don't know about the benefits that they can access. They don't know about Pell Grants. They don't know about other opportunities. They're not looking for grants from other resources. And some of them don't even understand if their employer has tuition benefits programs. So if you're an employer, we really recommend that you look at where the page about tuition benefits is on your intranet. Is it hidden? Is that pot of money used for other things and runs out early in the year? So I hope I've given you some food for thought.